Hair to me is creation, opportunity, and most importantly, seeing how a great color service can change someone's day and how it can make them feel. My name is Victoria Satterwhite. I'm 27 years old and I'm from Henderson, North Carolina. I first realized at a young age that I wanted to be part of this industry. I can remember going to all of my mom's hair appointments with her, seeing how getting a color service changed her day, watching the foil process take place, looking through the color swatch books, and just being so amazed at such a young age. But most importantly, seeing the smile and how it made her feel before she walked out of the door to the salon. When I was 16 is when I first started getting my hair colored. It was my first Redken color service, and of course it was highlights. My hairstylist allowed me to ask questions as to how the color process was done. She let me hold the swatch books and dig through them and ask why there were so many different lines and just the big why behind everything. I needed to know. I just had to know. After graduating high school, I went to college for a couple years for a business degree, knowing that going to school for a business degree wasn't gonna do it for me. I had the ambition to wake up happy to go to work every single day. And that's most important. Because if you're happy, then you're happy with your career. So before I tried to sell my parents on allowing me to attend cosmetology school, I got in contact with my now boss, Jennifer Fincher. She suggested that I come in and shadow her for a day while allowing me to ask several questions about the industry just to make sure that I knew this was the right career path for me. I remember coming in and standing behind the chair with her and just being amazed and getting that feeling in your gut where it's a bunch of butterflies and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is meant for me. After selling my parents and letting me attend cosmetology school, I attended at Alexander Paul in Greenville, North Carolina. We used Redken hair color and Redken retail. And that's also where I met my first Redken educator, Eli. And I just remember how much energy and excitement she brought to the school with talking to us about all of the retail, all of the different color lines, things that you can do with these amazing products. And I just knew once again, this was it for me. After cosmetology school, I applied for a position at Salon Blue. I became a part of the team. Salon Blue offered me the opportunity to be associate to owner mentor Jennifer Fincher, who I'm very grateful for. She showed me the path to this career, which I could not be more excited about. During the associate program, I decided to set a short-term goal and a long-term goal for myself. My short-term goal consisted of 3 years total. In that 3 years, I wanted to work on building my business, taking as many continuing education classes that I could, and also making it to the creative team. My long-term goals consisted of 5 years total, was all about being on the creative team, becoming a mentor, experiencing the Redken Exchange in New York, and also experiencing the Redken Symposium. And of course, meeting that goal of becoming a Redken artist. I have completed all of my short-term and long-term goals. In order of 100% completion on my long-term goals, it would be accepted into the Redken Artist Program. From there, I can then set new goals for myself with Redken. Before proceeding on with my video, I would like to extend a big thank you to the Redken Artist team and educators for taking the time to review my application and my audition package. Thank you. Redken offers the education and support that our team at Salon Blue requires. We have a special and unique relationship with Redken, being a lead salon. We have access to the best educators, support staff, and business resources. Our education requests are fulfilled so that we know who will be teaching our team here at Salon Blue at the start of the new calendar year. We receive new products, before they hit the shelves. That way we can try them out, learn the benefits and the knowledge on each of these products so that we can better give our guests an experience, not only behind the chair, but so they can take it home and experience it themselves. Redken truly treats us like a VIP guest and has always gone above and beyond by providing excellent service, support, and education to our team. Because of this, we continue to have phenomenal growth each year to our team and to ourselves as stylists. Being involved with Redken as an artist and educator would be my way of giving back to Redken and sharing what we've always experienced at Salon Blue with others. This is Kelly. She's going to be our model for today, and she is wanting to go ahead and brighten up for the upcoming summer. Anytime you have a blonde that comes in, most of the time, and a lot of clients that I see, they're always super bright from here, so your zone 1, down through your zone 2. When you come through with the zone 3, it always seems a little drab. This is where the most brightness that they want to see that pops through, especially with today's techniques. You can apply these techniques by using foiling methods. You can go through. You want to make sure that your zone 2 to your 3 is going to be super bright. All the hair that comes forward is brightness that they want to see. You don't want to always leave darkness at the underneath. And currently, right now, Kelly has tons of darkness in the back. So we're going to go through, we're going to do some highlights, and we're going to brighten her up, starting with the back, and we're going to make sure that the hair that naturally comes forward, even when she curls or wears it natural, is brightness all through here versus being so dark and so blonde and bright up top. With doing that, we're going to start in the back section. I'm going to take diagonal sections with a mini stitch and a standard stitch. With using that, I like to foil with a board. My board is not, however, your normal coloring board. This board actually is just a board that I got cut. It's a piece of vinyl from Lowe's. Very funny, I know. But it's lightweight, it fits in my hand, and I can hold my folding comb, and I can also wrap and foil at the same time. It allows me to get closer to the scalp, especially in the front of the head, where she wants to maximize all of the brightness through the front around the face. So we're going to start in the back. We're going to take diagonal sections in the back, and we're going to work from the nape up. Once we work from the nape up, we're going to move forward, and we're always going to want to foil inside the part once we reach the front. When you foil inside the part, you give the client the option of noticing that. Any female that is blonde, when you look at them, you're typically looking at them right through their part area and also through the ends with the hair that is falling forward. So you always want those areas, those target areas is what I like to call them, to specifically be brighter all throughout. So today we're going to be using Flash and 30 volume with a mixture of pH bonder. For our mixing, we're going to do Flash Lift and 30 volume. Your mixing ratio is going to be 1:1. Processes at room temperature for 35 minutes. There's no heat required. When you mix your 1:1 of your Flash Lift and Developer, go ahead and mix up, and then you want to add in 4 milliliters of your shot fix phase and go ahead and whisk that into your product. I personally always like to start with 1 bowl for the back and a bowl for the front, depending on how quickly you foil. So go ahead, have yourself an extra developer cup and have that extra product at the tray for you. Now at the bowl, we're going to be using Shades EQ. We're going to start at the hairline with a mixing ratio of 9N and 9NB, 1/4 inch around the hairline, Shades EQ processing solution, equal parts. And then for her root shadow, we're going to be using 8N and 8NB with processing solution, equal parts. For color application, I like to use the long bristle brushes, especially if you're taking darker areas much brighter. And then for around the hairline, for foiling and also at the shampoo bowl, for your glazing formula, I like to use our shorter bristle brushes, especially for those little baby hairlines. Okay, so we're gonna start by sectioning the head and the back start with ear to ear, down the middle and the back. Once I stated before, all of this hair that falls forward, a lot of the time females like to bring all their hair forward and tousle, especially depending on how they have it styled out. So all this hair that comes forward, you wanna make sure that any of this depth that you see from underneath, that when it comes forward, it has that brightness through their ends. And then also, if she wears her hair up, messy bun, top knot, any current or trendy style, or just even around the house, you wanna make sure she doesn't have a dark panel from where things have not been foiled. So we're gonna start by taking diagonal sections in the back. And keep in mind, when you're using lightener, especially like for example, I'm using Flash and 30 today with pH Bonder, you wanna make sure that you always mix up an extra bowl for yourself without putting the developer in it. If you go ahead and put the developer in it, you're causing everything to start oxidizing. So you wanna keep your mixture separate until you're ready for that. And you always wanna start with a fresh brush, your mixing spatula, and also go ahead and have it set up for the amount of pH Bonder that you're gonna be using. When you're foiling in the back towards the nape, it is fine to take the client, ask them to look down just a little bit. That way you have nice clean sections. You don't get any bleed marks, no lines of demarcation. And you also want to make sure that your sectioning, depending on how thick the hair is going to be 1 inch to maybe 1.5 inches. I'm starting with a micro stitch, the nape of the neck, with the client's head bent slightly forward. With different techniques such as balayage and your foiling being in trend right now, it is okay if you combine the two. However, it is a little difficult to want to try and convince your already current blonde clients to want to switch over to the balayage method, simply because they're not used to seeing that rooted look. Even though right now, to have just a slight shadow at your root on a blonde is in style, it's on trend. But if you still have some of those blonde clients that just aren't ready for that, that's okay. Foiling is going to be your best friend in the salon. So once again, take your sectioning, micro stitch. I wrap my board, place to the neck. And as you can tell, my foil is directly on the scalp. When these foils come out and we go through and after we see the finished product, it will look like her foils, her highlights are growing out of her scalp. And all of my blonde clients love it. But I still keep them in every 6 weeks. Once I start working towards the front of the head, when we get to that section, and especially in her part where she typically wears it, then that's when I would switch over, especially around the face, to doing a mini stitch. That way she has more coverage
and also a little bit brighter pieces, because I feel like when you do mini stitches, because you're grabbing so much of the hair, but still breaking it up, it seems to pop just a little bit more. It's a little bit softer, a little more blended. Now, keep in mind, as you're applying your foils, when you start to work with the roundness of the head, you want to make sure the head is going to get wider once you start moving from the nape to the occipital. So you're not going to be able to get that whole section in one foil. So make sure you break that foil up, because remember, when this hair falls forward, you don't want to have it that this one section is just a chunk of darkness because you only did one foil. You want to make sure that you have two foils right here. That way it's in the center of the head, and then it's also coming through the side. So when her hair is forward, you have that brightness coming from the back. Also keep in mind that it's okay for blondes to have their natural depth in between their foils. I mean, think about it. When you were a kid or on a little blonde child, all the blonde is different, and then you have their natural different darknesses everywhere. And I feel like that when you have that natural darkness, that it looks more natural on a blonde. And of course, even if those clients that you have that just want to be blonde, blah, blah, blonde, but they want it to look so natural, well, you can only make them look but so natural. However, reassuring them that you have a little bit of depth is going to give them more of a natural look than trying to make them appear as a sheet of blonde. You don't want sheets of color, you want it to look natural. So once again, I'm still working with the micro stitch. I was recently, this past year, I got to go to my very first Redken Symposium, which I absolutely fell in love with, and I definitely will be attending every 2 years that it comes around. I was very fortunate that I got into Tracy Cunningham's class, since Salon Blue is an elite salon for Redken. And one of the things that I loved the most about her was that she used, of course, her client, Khloe Kardashian, when she took her blonde, as a good example of just saying, you know, clients come in, and even if they're not naturally light, always ask for a picture. What do you want to see? It's not about what you as a stylist want your client to look like. It's about what your client wants. Because if you give your client what they want, then that's when your retention is going to skyrocket. And of course, you know, the client's going to ask you for their professional opinion. However, you give your professional opinion, but keep in mind, this service is about them. It's all about the guest experience with the client and making sure that their hair integrity is the best that it can be. So once again, the head is still wide through here. So I'm going through, popping 2 foils in side by side, because that hair that falls forward, you're going to want to see that brightness. This is where her part is every day. She has tassel, but her part stays the same. So we want to make sure we see brightness through here. That way when she's talking to anybody, that's going to be the first thing they notice. And then also, once again,
those zone 3s is what we're gonna notice. Zone 2 to 3. So I always like to section that out. Bring the head up slightly. And once again, foil out that hairline. I'm going to do a mini stitch at the hairline. With my short bristle brush, we're just going to cover any darkness that is at the zone 1. Because her ends in the front are already pretty bright, so we definitely don't want to overlap those. We're going to foil. I'm going to take one more mini section. Also keep in mind, Kelly does like her foils to be to the root, but she also likes a little bit of a rooted look. Not very much, just a little bit. So what we're going to do is, after she processes, for 30 minutes only at room temperature, no heat required, we will then be applying the number 2 for the pH bonder after we have pulled the foils, rinsed from the hair only, making sure that the hair is towel dried. And you want to make sure the pH bonder number 2 sits for 10 minutes. After that 10 minutes, you may then apply your glaze. You may also apply your rooted look that you would like to achieve. And a lot of the times too, when I'm foiling, I really like to go and imagine where that hair is going to fall. So sometimes when I'm done, if I feel like there's an area how her hair is laying that it could be a little bit brighter, I might go in, paint a little bit, or I might go in and pop in a really thin slice. It really all just depends on how I'm envisioning that specific target area to look. So once again, I've switched back to a micro, long bristle brush. Leaving those ends out. Also too, her highlights grow in really nicely. So even though she's not ready to do strictly the balayage technique and she's still liking those foils to the scalp, like mentioned earlier, if I feel like how it falls, I probably will leave just a little bit of extra room, extra sectioning space in between the foils because of how her highlights grew in, instead of breaking that up. Because the brightness around the hairline and the face, especially in front of the head, is the most important. So that's when you do want to foil a little heavy. Now, I'm tall for a female, so once I've reached the top of the head, even though my chair is down, it's okay to tell your client, okay, I'm going to need you to look down just a little bit.
Because remember, you are the stylist, you are the professional, and you want to make sure that you are exceeding on all of the guest requirements that they're looking for. So once again, like for example, this section. I'm doing a micro stitch, but I took my sectioning a little bit bigger than an inch. I kind of went to like 1.5 inches, just because I liked the amount of depth that was in there, and that's going to break it up, especially creep into the back or the start of the crown of the head. That way when she looks down, she has that beautiful depth through there that looks natural, but also just a smidge of brightness through the top. Her natural level is a 7, and she's kind of mousy for a 7, but she does like those little bit ashier ends. So as far as her root shadowing goes, like I said, I'm just gonna do maybe 1/4 to maybe 1/2 inch for only the root shadow. And I'm gonna use 7N and 7NB, but around that hairline, just a little bit around the hairline, where you are going to keep that the brightest. So then that's when I'm going to switch it up and go for 9N and 9NB Shades EQ processing solution with both of those root formulas. And as the root formula is processing, and I'm going to do this at the bowl while it's wet, just because I don't want it to take as dark as it possibly could, like it would on dry hair. I just want it to give it a little smidge of some depth. And I switched back to my short bristle brush just because she didn't have very much root on this foil. Now that we're back at the chair, we're going to go ahead and start with our finishing. For finishing, I always like to start off with 1 United 25 benefits. I'm going to mist the hair all over with 25. This acts as a detangler, which is really great for not only your blondes, but also other clients with long hair that battle with a lot of tangles. So after you've missed this all over the head, you want to either use a wide tooth comb or a wet brush to brush out the hair. Next, I always fill up the pillow proof. And the reason that I'm shaking, kind of giving it a second to shake, is you want to kind of activate it in the bottle. Pillow proof is a primer. This is going to help with your blow dry. Not necessarily speed it up a whole lot, but it is going to help set you for your blow drying process. So give it a good shake for about a minute, and then you want to mist the hair and use your fingers as a comb to work through the hair. After I've tousled through the hair, I'm then going to apply high-rise volume. High-rise volume is going to give Kelly's hair a little bit of texture because naturally her hair is super soft. Even though she has a lot of it, she struggles with grabbing a little bit of texture. Not only with the foils is going to help give her some, but this will give her a boost and also set her up for voluminous hair. So I applied in my hands emulsify, and I always like to start with the ends and then work my way to the roots. Because sometimes clients tend to over product their hair and they apply too much to their palms and then they just kind of slap it onto the head. I always, like I said, start at the ends, use my fingers as combs, and then work all the way to the roots. Now for Kelly's finished look, we're going to blow her out smooth,
And then we're gonna give her some beachy curls to finish her look off. Kelly is so much brighter around the face. Her hairline looks amazing. Now we're going to throw in some beachy waves just to complete the look. I always like to use Iron Shape 11. It is a medium hold. And what I like to do is section the hair out with my fingers, mist all over. And this is great too because some clients that have super thick hair and that is a little coarse, they can stand to use something that's like a stronger hold, almost kind of like Hot Sets 22. That would be great for those types of clients. But it's kind of a gamble that you play with because you don't want to use anything too heavy on certain clients that have super fine hair because it'll weight it down. So as we've completed Kelly's style for beachy waves, I always like to do kind of a stronger hold, especially with the beachy waves, because you want them to fall very soft, but you don't want to fall too much to where she'll completely lose her curl. So I always like to use Forceful 23. Forceful 23 is going to be in your strong hold category. It's really great. I feel like it's a working spray. She's still going to be able to tousle without it feeling stiff or anything. Once again, we're starting in the back with your diagonal sectioning. You've now created that beautiful, soft blonde pieces for your natural dimension. And it's given her the perfect amount of brightness for the season. Are you Redken ready?